Welcome to the Wandering Minds podcast. We are with, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Erika Skoog.
And
Mikki.
Yay. So we excluded my husband, Mike, the founder of Wandering Minds. And just to give more of an in-depth introduction, Mike and I will be married for 25 years, New Year's Eve next year. Crazy. And I know, can't believe that. Feels like it's been like 50 with him. But and then we have two daughters, Aaliyah and Izzy. And yeah, go ahead.
What do you want to know about me?
Well, I know a lot about you.
Let's see. I know Raj and Mikki from the gym that we all go to. I've been a member there since 2017. I've been with my husband, Solomon, since 2015. We don't share any kids together, but we have 3 kids. So my daughter is 20, and then his daughter's 15, almost 16, closer to 23 if you ask her.
Yeah.
And then Jaden, who's still 8, but is in a 13-year-old's body. Yes. So.
I know all about that.
Yes.
You will soon too.
Because they get bigger?
Oh, they get bigger.
And they get sassier.
Oh, yeah.
Like 8. And then there's this line where it's like, I'm 13, but I want to be treated like I'm 8 sometimes. And sometimes I want to be treated like I'm 18.
Yeah.
And then there's you're treating me like a kid. I'm not a kid. I'm an adult. When they're still like 17.
Yep.
And you're like, you're not an adult when you don't pay your own bills.
Yeah.
I still tell my daughter she's my child. You're just a child. You need to stop. I live on my own. I help you with your bills. You're not an adult yet.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's funny you say that, actually. So Aaliyah and her boyfriend moved out 2 months ago, which I'm super proud of them. They actually did everything all by themselves, financially, everything. They went and bought all their decorations. It's literally a mini of our house.
Nice.
Decorations wise, it's actually set up really cute. And I'm super proud of them because they did everything by themselves, financially, finding their apartment, everything. We didn't help them with anything. And I was talking to her about something. And I was telling her what to do. And she's like, Mom, I'm 19 and I don't live with you anymore. I'm like, I don't care.
Always be your mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because now I know why my mom was the way that she was. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think kids and teenagers or anyone really understands that till they have their own children. Mm-hmm. And the love you have for them and try to protecting them and stuff like that. Yeah. So
It's crazy, right? It's like they're grown and gone, and because both of our daughters are same age.
Yep. They play volleyball together.
Yes, and they're gone, but they're really not. And then you still call them, and they're like, "Oh, this happened." You're like, "You need to go and do this, this, and this."
Yep.
And then after that, you need to do these 5 things, and then just do that. And they're just like, "Okay," and then they never do it.
Yep.
Because they're not yet to the point where they're like, "Thanks for your advice, but I'm going to try to figure this out on my own."
Yep.
They still want to make you happy by saying like, "Okay, yeah, that's great advice, Mom. Thank you." And you're just like, "Okay, good." And then they don't do it. And then when you ask them when they've failed, right?
Yep.
Well, did you do what I told you to do? Well, no.
No.
But
then why do you bother asking?
Right. So one of the things I've had to learn with Ellie moving out is I have my opinions about how she should live her life, people she should hang out with, what she should be doing right now, all these things. But they're my opinions. And I need to understand that she may not live by my opinions. And that's hard.
Yeah.
I think as a mom, that's hard, especially like, I don't know about you, but for me, like I was a kid who had a kid, and then I never had that separation of like trying to make my parents happy and then being separated from them and trying to make myself happy and then finding somebody and then having kids. I had a kid before I even figured out who I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had to figure out who I was and grow into that person with a child who then is like, why are you changing? I don't understand.
Yeah.
You're not the same mom. You're different. And I'm like, I'm better. She's
Yes.
like, I don't know about that. But I'm like, I am. And in the long run, you'll thank me. The mom you had before was young and naive, and now I'm a better human. But yeah, it's really hard to like transition and not have that middle period where you get to try to figure things out on your own.
Yeah, I can relate to that in a little, like, very small way, in that my 14 or 15-year-old niece moved in with us when I was pregnant with Solomon. And so Ruby was 2, right? And I hadn't parented her, right? I mean, I was around because my sister had her when she was 16. So I was 14 when she had her. And we were really close, right? But to try to jump into that, it reminds me of, like, you trying to find your way, right? And I'm like, I don't know what to do with a teenager. I don't know, like, how strict I'm going to be. And unfortunately, I feel like it definitely damaged our relationship because we used to be really close. I learned a lot, right? But I feel like it did more damage to her than helped her, unfortunately. Like, pushed her away.
You didn't know going in as a, with a teenager and raising one, not having to have already gone through that. That's
because I feel like as the kids grow, you learn so much and adjust and grow more patience, learn, like, what you're comfortable with. And a lot of that you see, like, with oldest child versus youngest child, right? But my poor niece, like, at 15, and she already, like, had issues and was struggling. That's the whole reason she came to live with us, to have all of that, like, baggage, and then come and live with my husband and I. That, like, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No,
and that's got to be hard, not only just on you, but on her, like you said.
Yeah.
Having to go through all the stuff she did, and then having to move in, even though she knew you.
Yeah,
change.
I had changed for sure, because, I mean, I hadn't lived back home for at least 10 years. So I wasn't the same person. But also, like, with not knowing how to parent, or... Because my oldest Ruby was 2, so I don't know what the fuck I was doing.
2, it's like, go to bed. And they're like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them say okay, but
mine doesn't. Mine was the child who at daycare got put in the hall because she refused to take naps.
Oh wow.
Now, if my mom's listening to this, she would say, you were that child too.
That's funny.
I disagree. I was an angel. I did nothing wrong when I was a child.
And you're still an angel.
Of course. 100%. Always do the right thing. Never fail.
Yeah.
No, it's hard. I think for me, at least with Ellie, I hit like 27 or 28-ish. Even then I wasn't like, I still had a bit of a temper. I had a temper of a 22, 23-year-old. Right. And that's hard on a little kid.
Yeah.
And, as I got older, I would stop reacting. And that for Ellie was hard. She grew up knowing how to push my buttons enough to make me react, to make me then feel bad.
Yeah.
And then to get her way.
Yeah.
So that was her path of getting her way. And then when that stopped working, she would get very frustrated. She didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I think...
and you were just growing as a person.
Like, yeah. And my favorite was, you're no longer the cool mom. At first it hurt my feelings. Like, no, I'm the cool mom, okay? I'm the cool mom. And then I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm not the cool mom. I'm the responsible mom. And that's my job as a mom, is to be responsible, to make sure you don't do stupid shit.
Yep.
Okay.
And to protect you. Yes. Yeah. I've kind of been through that where, like, I think it was more so with Aaliyah, where I think she felt like we weren't cool parents because we always had, like, she had consequences, right? Our girls did. And, but I remember sitting there thinking, like, all your friends want to be my social media friends. They all, like, really deep down, we are the cool parents. And I get a ton of respect out of our daughter's friends. Mike and I, for most that probably don't know, we used to have a really super small house. And one of the things I've always said to Mike is, we need to figure out how we're going to have a bigger house, because I don't want to send Izzy and Aaliyah to their friends' parents' houses, because I'm more comfortable knowing myself what I can provide for them, the security, and, and just have, like, a safe home for all of them and for all their friends to be welcomed. We actually have, like, this whole drawers and cabinets of, like, snacks. So all the kids that come here, the first thing Mike always says is,
my kids have found them.
The snack
yes,
they know where the
the gummies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's I think that, and you'll go through this too, as your kids get older, is your kids may not think that you're the coolest, but really, because I know, you're a great mom, that you're there to provide and protect them
Right.
and take care of them.
That's more important to me.
And your kids may not say anything to you,
Right.
but they actually deep down know it and see it.
Well, that security is so important for kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a breakthrough with my daughter the other day. She's like, wow, living's really expensive. Like,
Yeah. Try having a house, car payments,
Right.
all this and all that. Actually, and I was just telling, we had homecoming.
Yeah.
So Izzy and all her friends came over, and I was like, okay, what's the easiest, cheapest thing for me to cook? Tacos. And so I go to Albertsons, and I literally bought nothing but all the ingredients for tacos. $65 later. And I was like...
I know, and tacos are like cheap and fast.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be. They were.
It was
once upon-
fast. It
Yeah.
just isn't cheap anymore.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was expensive. Like, when did hamburger get this expensive? It's hamburger.
I feel like everything is expensive.
Is it?
I
I don't
feel
ever
like...
buy it. I don't know how much hamburger
Oh,
is.
really?
Yeah.
So I bought like the big pack, like the value saver, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy the
Yeah.
cheapest
Yeah.
way to do this is to buy the biggest of quantity so that I can get a discount and then freeze it. So
Right.
that's what we do. We just
Yeah.
it was
Where do you get it from?
I get it from Albertsons, and I like the 93.7 because it helps with my calorie intake, so I try
Yeah.
to be good with that. And it was $25 just for like a 3 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I just feel like groceries, whether you go to Winco
yeah.
or wherever. Winco is definitely
100%
the
cheaper.
cheapest.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to be really nice and maybe a little mean about this. I struggle with Winco sometimes because people are rude.
Yeah.
Like in the park, from the time you enter the parking lot, people are trying to run you over or run you over with their car as you're walking to the doors. And then you get inside, and God forbid, when I had my knee surgery, I had to ride on little scooters.
Oh.
And people will walk in front of you and stop. You're just like, I'm just going to run into you.
Yeah.
Keep going and run into you. And then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Are you really sorry? Or are you just sorry that I'm now looking at you and you have to acknowledge that what you did was wrong?
Right.
And then you leave, you get in line and you wait forever and you have to pack your own stuff.
What
and
time
then
do
leave.
you go?
Well, I go during the day on Fridays. which
Okay,
is
that's
probably
the
not
first. So okay, so you know me and the career I have in my traveling. I don't have time. So if I go grocery shopping, it has to be in the morning. So if I go to Winco, because I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I used to go in the daytime, and then my sister-in-law was like, "Why are you doing that?" I don't know. It's when I go. So if I go before 10 on the weekends in the morning,
Yeah, I feel like
no
you guys,
issue, and I
when
get
see-
right in.
Yeah.
It's usually like Sunday mornings. You like leave the gym and go to the store,
That's
right?
exactly what typically
Yeah.
Mike and I do. He'll go
Yeah.
get all the kids' snacks and stuff, and I'll get the food that we
Oh,
need.
divide and conquer. That's nice.
Oh, and he bags.
See, this is the problem.
And he unloads.
And he puts away.
I'm very lucky and blessed.
Now, I do call on the way home, and I go, I am literally 2 minutes away from
Yep.
the door. Everyone better be outside.
Yep, I've
and
done that.
waiting for me.
Yeah.
To pull in. I will reverse in and open the trunk, and we need to carry all
Yep.
at once, okay? And because, now that there's no plastic bags, it's not like you can, drape your arms and
I
carry all
know.
the bags at once.
And those paper bags, the handles are
rip
so
right
shitty.
off.
Oh, they rip right off. I hate that.
So I
too.
can't-
and you
take
can't
more than-
trust more than one in a hand.
Yeah,
And so now I make them all come
Yep.
take them inside, and then they all try to tiptoe away, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yep. Been there.
You guys are going to help unload. Okay. I
Yep.
put it all in the cart.
Yep.
I then put it all in the bag. I then
Yep.
drove it home.
Yep.
Okay. You guys get to help.
That's a lot of energy that right there. That
For
it
real,
takes. It
for
really
real.
does.
Nap
I've
after
been-
grocery shopping.
I
Yeah.
always need a nap, but I've been putting off grocery shopping for weeks. Today, Joseph was like, "So, is there anything going on this afternoon that would keep either of us from going to the store?" I was like, "No,
Yeah.
it's not."
So I try, because usually I'm gone every other week. So we try to go grocery shopping just for the week because I was tired of all our fruits and veggies going bad.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
a
thing
waste
is-
of money. And it's just, there's so many hungry people out there. So
I just
we only just buy a little bit.
I make Solomon go to the store on his way home. I'm like, hey, let's have broccoli tonight. Go ahead and go to the store and pick up some broccoli. Because same thing, it
Yeah.
dies in the back of the fridge, and then
Yep.
you open the fridge and you're like, okay,
Yep.
what smells?
Yep. Exactly. So, not to change the subject, our gym is having a competition about whoever loses the most
Fat.
fat. will win $1,000. And I have joined. I just haven't done my weigh-in and everything. And
Oh, you did actually do it.
Yeah, I already paid her and everything.
Oh,
we're going
I
in
thought
this
you were
weekend.
unsure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Aaliyah and I, my 19-year-old and I are. And then you.
My mom joined.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. I'm excited that my mom wants to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked Evan yesterday, and he said like 25 people. Like, whoa. I was hoping it was like 4, and then maybe I would join and like up my chances.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like 25. Oh.
That's a lot of people. And there's some people who never even came and worked out.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, wow.
I've been
advertising it all over the place to people who don't go to our gym.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like,
Well,
you don't have to be a member here.
Exactly. I don't think, when we've had this discussion before, I actually looked last night to see how long I've been going to FS. So I think it was February 2021. So end of 2020, I had gained weight because I had been furloughed from work for 3.5 months. So I had told myself I was going to do 3 things that I don't typically do. Well, one of them was baking from scratch. So I was baking like bread, cinnamon rolls,
You and my husband could have had a cooking show.
yeah. And I just didn't even care. I'm like, oh, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Okay, cool. I'm just going to go bake. And so I put on some weight, and then I think it was end of December. I don't know where we were, what we were doing, but I had gone upstairs, and maybe it was even at our house. I was out of breath. I couldn't breathe. I was having a hard time, and I was like, okay, time to do something about this. And I knew that I needed to be pushed, working out and trying to be committed to that. I needed somebody like a Molly to push me beyond my limits. I could with Mike, but I live with the man, and then sometimes, that's just too much for me. So Mike came home one day and was like, FS is having, I think it was like the babes class, or I can't remember what it was. And then Aaliyah at the same time was like, hey, I want to do something. And so I said, contact and find out a little bit more about it. And then after we heard a little bit more, I'm like, I don't want to work out with other people. I want to do our own training. And so we ended up, Aaliyah and I, training with Molly. And the first day I remember, so mind you, I've been to the other, I'm not going to name the gyms, but the other traditional gyms out here, all in each one of them at one point of my life. Could never stick to it. And the first day at FS meeting Molly, I was like, oh shit, this woman's going to fucking kill me. And I think I almost threw up. I about died, but I was running down and upstairs around.
Yeah.
Was our warm up. And I can't remember who it was, but there was a girl. And she said to me, she looked at me, she said, just keep going. You got this. You don't get that at other gyms. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And that is how literally everyone at the gym is. Everyone's always rooting for you. Everyone's always encouraging and supporting. So I knew that day that this was where I was going to be committing to, because nobody makes you feel like that at a gym. And I typically have never liked gyms because there's usually like cliques and what are they called? Meatheads or whatever they're called. Just like I feel,
Meatheads.
and
gym bros.
I feel like there's body stereotypes.
Yes.
Right? So like depending on the type of gym you're going to, whether it's a weightlifting gym, your traditional gym like 24 or, other country club type gyms, right? Like there's a physique that is expected of the patrons who go there. Yeah. And at FS, you walk in the doors and it's not like that. You look around and there's, skinny people, bigger people, really, really muscular people, people who are super lean and runners and athletic. And we've got a lot of people who come in who play professional sports.
Yep. High school kids.
Yes. Right. Like even like,
it's a variety.
Even the littles class, right?
Yes.
Like it's nice to see. And it's also equally as nice to see that those people care about the people who are not in their stereotype. Yeah. Right. And it just reminds, I think for me at least, it just reminds you that you don't have to be that person, but that person's still rooting for you and you root for everyone else and you're not competing with how they look or how you want to look with them. It's
not about a competition.
And you supporting other people in their endeavor to be them against them.
Yes.
And so that's what I like about it. And that's why I stayed. Like when I started was I know the last time I was on this podcast, I talked about my weight loss surgery and I started at FS pre weight loss surgery. So I was at my heaviest. I was 100 pounds heavier than I am now today. And I couldn't do half the stuff. And rather than being like, well, maybe this class isn't for you, I got, hey, if you can't do it this way, here's 3 other ways you can try
do
it. Not one
Yep.
other way.
Yep.
3 other ways you could do this exercise. And if that's still too hard, let's talk. Right? It wasn't ever,
you can't do this.
this class isn't for you if you can't keep up. Right? Which is what I always felt when I went to CrossFit when I lived in Washington was, if you can't do this much weight in this much time, then maybe this isn't the gym for you. It's like, I can't do a pull-up. I'm so sorry.
Well, and when I walk into the gym, and I've never said this, I actually, even when I was in California a week ago, I think I text Molly or message her, and I'm like, I miss the gym. I've never said that in my entire life.
I miss the gym every time I go to town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's the first thing I do. I get home. If I'm coming home in the day and I'm home at a reasonable hour, I'm like, get my shit in the door. I'm going to the gym. I'll be back.
Yeah.
To go and de-stress. Because it truly is for me. It's that place where I go to get, because I work from home, right? So it's generally I'm like stuck in this little, not little, but this house, right, in this room. And
yes, for me, it's like, I mean, I have a safe zone everywhere, but I just feel happy. It's my happy place. I love everyone there. It's a lot of the gym members are actually good friends of mine. That's like how you and, there's other girls that I'm really close to. And sometimes I miss Molly yelling at me to, telling me what to do. But I think that, and I tell people all the time, you don't have to join a gym, but like FS is family, happy, and everyone will push you. I remember the first time I watched the powerlifting when Mike competed, and I watched all of you ladies lift and compete, and I was like, that takes some balls to do, because I would never do it. And to have the commitment and the because you have to eat clean, you have to train almost 6 days a week, and just everything it entails, which I don't even know. I've just seen Mike do it. It's amazing. And I think that takes everyone that does it should be super proud of themselves, because that's a lot of hard work. And but the first time I watched all the girls, I was like, wow, I want to lift like them. And anyone that knows me knows that I've never stuck to a gym as long as I have. So almost going on 2 years now. I feel the best I've ever felt my entire life. And I feel like that I would have never, ever walked into a gym like FS, an older version of me. And so also at the same time, I think anyone that knows me would have never thought that I would love to squat. And that's like the best part that I love to do. I love to build my quads.
Listen, any girl who wears high heels needs to enjoy squats, because it really does make wearing high heels that much easier.
Yes, it does.
It really, because you're really working your legs. So then when you're up on your toes all damn day in heels, it's hard. Easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, powerlifting is hard. I had the same thing, right? It was post surgery. I was trying to figure out, okay, well, I like boxing, but I also like the superset classes. And I was like, well,
love superset.
I want to do more. And then shortly after the powerlifting competition, I injured my knee. And so then I had my 2 knee surgeries. And then it was like,
you just had a snowball of stuff.
3-year journey to get to powerlifting. But I don't know about you, Mikki, but like for me, it's like the struggle with powerlifting for me is regressing in your lifts, because that happens, right? Especially when you have
definitely does.
When you have a break, like you have a competition, you take a little break, and then you get back, and you're like, yeah, I should be able to lift exactly what I lifted at the comp, and you get, especially bench. Like for me, because bench right now is my strongest, you go and you're like, why is this so hard?
Yeah.
And then it's like shit, how did I regress so much in this short period of time? You have to remember it's a process of compete after your competition, taking some time off and then rebuilding, and you're going to rebuild past that. But it's not like in my mind, I'm like, okay, 5 pounds every week. I should be able to like get to this point by this point. And I think one time I told Dad, I was like, so I'm thinking for my meet lifts, I'd like to get to these places. And he said, I was thinking more like this. He has a really good way of telling me
so
no
amazing.
without telling me
He
no.
cracks me up.
He's just like, those are great numbers. But I think realistically, this is where we're going to be. Right. Yeah. Which is a hard message to tell someone who like me, who's highly competitive. And which is why I had to talk to him about doing the challenge first, because I do get super competitive. In the last challenge, I injured myself. So
okay, let's not do that this time.
Because I was in first place too, and then I injured myself.
Really?
Yes, you can ask Tracy. But it was I'm just so competitive. I get so competitive, and so I'm like trying to think through, okay, how do I refocus this to be like the $1,000 would be nice, but I'm really doing it more to have accountability over the holidays, because for me that's the hardest time. I'm super stressed, usually spending more money than I want to, and I have to make everyone else happy but me. And there's lots of really good food around. And most of the time it's
dessert.
It's because I've made it.
Yeah. Aw.
Damn it,
I get
I'm a
told
good
by my
cook.
family every year, like, maybe we could pare down the desserts. And I just look at them and go, no.
No. Yeah.
We're going to have 6 different desserts because this person likes these, this person likes these. I said, I'll make less though. So I started doing that last year, as I started making less. And then I started switching it up. Like last year I made homemade creme brulee and homemade chocolate croissants. And
wow.
Croissants are hard for those of you who have perfected it.
Yeah, no, they sound like
hit me
they'd be
up.
very difficult.
Because rolling the butter and not mushing it together is really hard. It has to be really cold. So the minute you take it out, it's already like starting to defrost, and you have to roll it out and refold it and put it back in the freezer so it can refreeze. It's quite a process.
I've never made it. So doesn't sound like I'm ever going to.
I have a great
No.
recipe. And they taste good. That's what the recipe says at the beginning.
I mean, if it's
even
like
if you
butter,
fail, they
like-
still taste good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like for me the gym is great. It's good for me in my job, right? I don't know about you, but like my job is super high stress, and the gym helps me decompress that, and I'm a happier person, which means I do a better job at work.
Exactly.
And
It's actually funny you say that, because somebody asked me, so I travel a lot for work. I have a very demanding career, and it can be super stressful, just depending on what's going on, or should I say overwhelming. It's kind of mentally exhausting at times, but I enjoy what I do. I love being with my customers. I love helping them grow their business. And the company I work for, a corporate company, it's literally been like the best thing ever for me, and it's where I belong. But somebody asked me, how do you do all the stuff in your life and like with your work and everything? How do you manage that? And for me, I'm like, it's the gym. I literally feel that going to the gym for everyone helps you mentally boost your confidence, because I've had people say your confidence level is like sky high, because I feel good. I feel good about myself. And eating cleaner helps, of course. And I think just mentally, when you work out, it just makes you feel better. And then when you feel better, you want to eat cleaner. Then you eat cleaner, your confidence is up, right? And mine, like when I lift, it's so empowering. I love feeling strong. I don't have to ask Mike to do shit, because I can lift it and do stuff on my own. But I think it just helps people mentally and gives them confidence. And I've known of a lot of females like me, like I used to be. So I think I lost 15 something pounds, but a lot of inches since I've joined the gym. And I remember thinking before that I felt fine, that I was happy, but I ate like shit. And I break out a lot. So when I eat bad, it'll show. And I remember thinking like a couple years ago, oh, I feel happy, I feel fine, whatever. But where I'm at in my life now, I wasn't happy. I needed to lose some weight. I needed to eat cleaner. And it's literally just helped me mold my entire self, me versus me, at a more higher level version of me. So I feel better. My career's excelling. I thrive. I'm happy. I had a one-on-one with my boss, and he's like, "You're always thriving. You bring this energy to the customers and to our, our employees and our, just all the way around people where people don't have that energy, but you help want them to have that energy, to work towards that." And I'm all about empowering females. I've been there where females and guys have either been bratty to me or jealous of me or whatever it was, just because I'm me, judging before they get to know you. And I'm, like I said, I'm all about, if you want to do something, you want to have your own business, do it. Set goals. Always trying to help females to be a better version of themselves and trying to be more independent. That's something with our girls. Actually, I think I posted this yesterday where me growing up in an Indian culture, my parents were super strict and more so it's about, getting married, having a family, cooking and cleaning. Well, that is not me. And so I feel, and what I want to do with our children, what we're trying to do is build them to be independent females, being leaders. And because it's a man's world, and it is. And I work in a man's world, but I want our girls to be able to make their own money, pay their own bills, just like Aaliyah is right now, because if something were to happen, she can still take care of herself and know how to live on her own and not having to say, oh, I had to rely on him. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what in my opinion, I think that's what we need to teach our daughters more.
Agree. So
that they can be independent, confident, stand up for themselves. I have issues with like people who try to, and this probably isn't going to come across right, but like victimize themselves, or feel pity for themselves. Like,
yeah,
put on your big girl pants,
right,
and get the fuck out there, find a job, pay your bills, try to manage and organize your life. And I mean, like, Mike does a lot. Like, I'm super, super blessed that I have a husband who helps out because I travel, taking Izzy to school. He'll cook, he'll clean. Like we were talking about, because I'm like, oh, I really need, we need to clean. I don't even think I've unpacked since I came back from California, but I'm blessed that he helps out a lot. But I also know that if anything were to ever happen, I'm fine.
Can I challenge you on that just a little bit?
Okay.
Challenge. So one of my biggest issues in life with society, not with what you said, but with society, is the role and expectation that women should play and the graciousness that we apply to men for helping pick up their own shit and help with the damn dishes that their children used. So,
true.
Well, I understand that's a normal reaction to society. Is I'm so grateful that he's a helpful spouse and a caring spouse who will share the housework.
Yes,
because a lot of men
don't.
Are like, cool, hey hun, there's dishes on the table. He doesn't, and Solomon's the same way. I have to do a little more reminding at times, but for the most part, he's very helpful in his own way. But I think that's society, and that's the issue that I'm currently having with society is this high expectation that a household, the interiors ran by the women and the exteriors maintained by men. It's like, why isn't this a shared responsibility? We both
Right.
own this piece of
Yeah.
property.
It should be because everyone makes the messes. Everyone's living
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
taking the
A
kids
partnership
to school.
like complements, not.
My
Yeah.
husband's watching the kids.
Fuck
Oh, no,
that.
I hate
No,
that.
I
You're
hate
supposed
that.
to watch the kids.
Not
Yeah.
babysitting.
You're
You're
not babysitting, and I shouldn't have to ask you if you're free to watch your children.
Fuck.
True.
Peace out, I'm leaving.
Yep. Now, that part is true. What I meant was...
No, it wasn't anything directed
no,
at
no.
you and Mike. It was just more like a societal, because I respond
Yes.
that way too.
Yes.
Like, oh, I need to stay home today because I have to clean the house.
Yeah.
I need to go pick up the children. Like, I inherently feel bad when I can't give something of myself to my family because I have other obligations or things that are important to me, right? Like, no, we can't go get ice cream because I'm on a diet, and right now is not the moment where I'm going to be strong if we drive through the Dairy Queen drive-through.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So then I inherently just feel bad that I couldn't give to my family or my kids things that they want that will make them happy, or providing them a lifestyle or a ride or whatever it is. And I think as women in society, we are pressured to feel bad for not being able to do those things. Oh, you can't take care of your kids all the time, 24/7.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you. Like, no, there's not. I'm human and I need my own space.
Yep.
And I'd like to not be touched for like 2 seconds. Like, that's it. I just want to take a shower by myself. Why is that so much to ask for?
Yeah. No, I know of not a lot. I know of some females whose husbands don't help at all. Yeah. He actually, it's more so like he helps do everything like we were talking about.
And we were way better cook than me.
Like, he probably actually cooks better than me too, but we were talking about what rooms we're going to attack. Yeah. So it's all clean before the weekend so that we can focus on other things. I do know of some females whose husbands or spouses just didn't help. And I think that you are correct with society, like in the Indian culture, the females are supposed to do everything. And like, why does it need to be normalized that females need to have kids?
Why can't I be the one sitting on the sofa watching football on Saturday while my husband's cleaning the house?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, why would that be so ironic or
it shouldn't be.
Obtuse,
it shouldn't
right?
be.
Like, it shouldn't be. And I think that, I definitely have a firm belief in gender, which I won't get into just because my job is in human resources. But I do think that some things in society have been far too gender specific for far too long. That really, when it actually hurts relationships, because and really, like, even the expectation, like, I know I have a really good job. I do really well for myself, and that's hard when in relationships, not necessarily mine, but where the woman makes more money than the man. I think men are also conditioned to believe that if they're making less money than their spouse, that they've somehow failed to provide for their family. And I don't think it's all men, because that would be a stereotype.
No, my husband will be the first to say she's my sugar mama, and he'll be the
and
first.
Some people are very confident with that, but there's a lot of people out there who really struggle with, men or people who find themselves to want to be that primary supporter for somebody else,
because that's how
they struggle when they feel like they're failing, right, to provide, and in their own way. I feel like sometimes we are losing sight as a society of what really a relationship should be, and that should be a mutual benefit to the other party, right? We're mutually beneficial to each other as a unit. We can do things twice as big and twice as strong.
Yeah.
It's a team. It's a business partnership, literally.
Not like you do those things, I do these things, and we kind of stay in our own lanes. And that for me is like hugely important. Like, transparency in relationship is the biggest thing that you could have. And I was having this conversation with a friend the other day. Transparency is really hard sometimes. Yeah. Even with your spouse, right? Like, wow, you loaded the dishwasher, and every way you loaded the dishes, I fucking hated.
I say that to Izzy.
You did everything fucking wrong, because internally, right, and transparently, I'm like, you could have probably got twice as many dishes, and now we have to do 2 loads.
That's the OCD in you, okay?
It is the OCD in me, and I know that's not a normal thing for everybody, but I think we all have those moments where our spouse is like not doing something
the
wrong,
way we want,
but they're not doing
to.
the way we want. But having that transparency to discuss your feelings should be acceptable. Like, I don't know why I was so triggered by the way you loaded the dishes, but I was.
I mean, as long as the dishwasher washes it,
right? And that's, in all honesty, this is a true conversation I've had. It's like, why does it matter? And so for me, it's like, okay, I'm feeling anxious. I do have to say, okay, what's transparency and what's just being mean? Right?
What is it about the dishwasher though? Because my
husband loads everything in backwards.
No, okay? I mean, no, I get it. I feel that.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's very common.
So I grew up and the bowls faced down the center and they faced like downward
the way
and
you
forward.
want it to be.
Yeah. So they face downward and forward, and then we're in the centerpiece of the dishwasher. He does them on the side where the cups go. Okay. And he does them backwards. And so for me, funny. It's like, that's stressful. Right. And it's not that it's wrong. Right. It's not that he's trying to be helpful. Right. He's doing
no, I feel that though. I feel that.
But for me, like, I had to
figure out why.
And I had to figure out how to talk to him about it because it is really an internal issue for me. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault. It's something I have to cope with.
Yeah.
Loading the dishwasher the wrong way.
Dig deep, like, what is it about this dishwasher?
You know, by having that transparency in a relationship, you can talk about those things and the other person's not like, fine, I'll just never do the dishes again.
Right. They need to be
Solomon
receptive.
just looks at me and he goes, you're being ridiculous.
Yeah.
and I look at him and I go, I know.
I'm aware.
Like, I'm fully aware, but
Yeah.
I'm feeling very anxious about this and it's stressing me out and it's very unreasonable and I fully acknowledge that. I just need you to help me work through it.
Yeah. But also I'm comfortable with you because you're my husband and I can share
to be
this
able
with
to
you.
talk through that is really good.
And,
And it's really funny sitting here because, like, for me, because, like, Izzy, she'll sometimes do, you know, because she's a teenager, you know. I think I probably showed her once, like, how to load it. But I can't stand it how anyone loads it. But all I'll do is I'll just fix it because for me, I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, if it takes too much energy, I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna save that for something bigger, and so I'll just fix the plates or whatever, and then turn it on like super high speed. You know what I mean?
Wash it fast.
Yeah. Well, not fast, but I meant
deep
like, you know, deep cleaning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not like the dishwasher, right? That's not the only thing. It's just an easy example.
Yeah.
Right? It's like how we discipline children.
Yes.
Right. How we communicate with children, how we allow children to grow. Like, I think that for me and Solomon, because he has a very different parenting style than I do. I mean, very different. And he grew up very different than I did. And so we came in and he's like, why the hell are you letting Ellie do this? And I'm like, this is my relationship with my daughter. We've always done things this way. I'm sorry it makes you uncomfortable, but I'm not going to change the way I parent her just because we're in a relationship. And that was a hurdle that we had to get over, a really high one. And the same was with his kids, right? Like, I'm like, why are you talking to the kids like that? Like, we need to embrace their feelings, allow them to feel them. Like, I'm very like, let's get in touch with our feelings, kids. And they're not used to that. So they're like, they walk all over it. They're like, sweet, we're not in trouble.
Yeah. So I feel like, one, blended families have that situation. I'm sure all of them. And for me, because of how I was raised, which was super, super strict, when I met Mike, he really helped address things and open my eyes to a lot of things. Because he's very open. He sees outside the box. He's super intelligent. Don't let that go to your head, babe. And he's just really smart. He just, you know, processes everything. And I think one time I was disciplining Aaliyah for something, and he's like, why does that, I can't remember what it was. It was like years ago. Why does that matter? Because what you're doing is you're letting your ego take charge of the situation. Because I felt like I needed to be the superior, right? Not think it through, process it through, like, why does it matter? What's wrong with that? So he actually opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I'm really glad because I'm very fortunate. We have two beautiful, very smart, great daughters. Izzy is a great student at school, so was Aaliyah. You know, we I used to be the person where like, I felt like I needed to be strict because of how my parents raised me.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to raise my children like I was raised.
And then it just
I was
crept in.
sheltered till I was 18. There's a reason, because not a lot of people know, but I took off to New York at the age of 18 as soon as I graduated to get away from my parents. But now that I'm older, I know that my parents raised me the way that they were taught.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bring the religion and the Indian culture from freaking Fiji to America and you try to raise me, because I'm like way opposite than what any Indian girl should be or is. But Solomon, I think a lot of our background, the way we're raised and everything, it's just stuck in our head. It's how we were conditioned and trained, if that makes any sense. So it took Mike a long time, because like in my culture, you don't talk about like sex and boys and drugs and this. And one of the things that, because Mike and I were married for 5 years, best thing for anyone out there who's not married and doesn't have kids, the best thing for Mike and I that we did was not have kids for 5 years.
I agree with you 100%.
Because we built our foundation. We talked about how are we raising our kids, religion, financially, disciplining. And even though we had chatted about it, the way I was raised would still come out, when I'm trying to discipline them. And with Mike, he's like, we're going to be open with our children. His family's very open. So that was a total culture shock. Like for me, like you guys talk about freaking everything.
Yeah.
And at first, when we were first married, that was hard for me because I wasn't raised like that. And the best thing that we ever did was we talked to our kids about boys, sex, drugs. And we always say, if you ever have a question, don't ask anyone else because they're not going to answer it, in our opinion, correctly, like the way we would. Mm-hmm. We would discuss it and go over things. And I feel like we did a pretty darn good job because all of our daughter's friends are very open with us and would tell us things. I remember like Aaliyah's friends in high school would tell us things what other girls in school were doing. And it just blew my mind. Mm-hmm. But I remember sitting there thinking, these girls feel comfortable enough to have that conversation with me. So for whatever reason, they may not talk to their parents about it because I never had anyone to talk to. Mm-hmm. I literally learned everything by myself. I learned a lot of things when I got married and from Mike. And I think that, like I said, that culture mm-hmm. and because I know, the way we're raised, we're conditioned and it takes time to have somebody else help you with that and talk about it just like you are.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was really blessed. My mom really struggled with, I think, having conversations with me, but she had no problem bringing me books and leaving them on my bed. So I learned a lot from books.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
which was fine, and that made her comfortable. And I think, what did she tell me later in life? You asked me the question one time, and I said, "Are you sure you want the answer?" And then you said, "No, I'm not." And so we didn't have the conversation. Yeah. And I think for me it was like getting pregnant with Ellie was I'd been with her dad for I think 2 years at that point when I got pregnant, but he was not a nice person. He's still not a nice person. He's not a good person. And, just very self-centered individual. But I was so lonely at the time because my parents got divorced and then my parents started seeing other people. And then where am I? I'm sitting, chilling with my sister who's 8 years younger than me. I can't talk to her about anything. So mm-hmm. What do? You go try to find somebody who's going to replace that void, right? Because I felt very like this I was missing love in my life. And I just remember like most of my adolescence, I was a very lonely human. So I just really wanted to be around somebody who I thought would love me. And at that young of an age, like, you don't know what love is. No. Some boy's gonna be like, yeah, I love you.
Of course. Let me just get in your pants first.
And you're just like, he loves me. And it's like, no, he doesn't.
Well, and when you're wanting that love and attention, you're gonna get it from, you're gonna go get it from anyone. And then,
And I was mean to my parents. I think that's normal at that age is kids are just not very nice because they're feeling their own emotions. And so I think my mom was very off put by that. And my dad was just like, yeah, you're going to behave or you're going to have a problem. So I behaved for my dad. For my mom, it was kind of more that snotty teenager. And all I wanted was love. And I didn't have anybody to talk to about that. And then there came Ellie.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't like, Ellie asked me this all the time throughout her entire life. Like, why'd you even have me? It's because, well, I made a choice. Like, we lived in Oregon. I had lots of choices. I had lots of choices. I made a choice to have you. I wanted to keep you. I was young. And if I, you know, look back on that decision, was the best decision I could have made for my life? No. Was it the right decision? Yeah. And I don't regret any of it. And she still thinks sometimes that, you know, that wasn't my choice. And I'm like, no, my parents were like, listen, we've got adoption, we've got all these things, because they were scared for me and what this would mean for the rest of my life. And I can tell you that Ellie's been my biggest advocate. She's been the person who comes to work with me and chills for 12 hours because I've got overtime I have to do. We hang out, and I don't think I would have had the confidence that early on in my life to pursue a new career and make it where I am now. Because there's not a lot of women doing what I do. I work in a very male-dominated world because it's constant friction. My job is constant arguing. Debating, bargaining.
Negotiating.
What's right, saying no. Like, I don't know about you guys, but by the end of the day, my family gets really mad at me because I'm like, I don't even care. I said no all day. I've had to have an opinion all day. I've had to argue all day. I'm not going to argue with you. This is what I want to do. If you don't want to do it, I don't care. It's fine. But I think, you know, it's having I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Which is having opportunity to have that relationship with your significant other first before you have children is key. And not everyone gets that opportunity. But I think the one thing people can do even after they have children is making time for each other. You know, I like to go through all the videos on social media. And there's one that was like, put your wife first. Like in your family, your significant other is the most important person. Like not your kids, not your pets, not your whatever. It's your person that you're married to. And if you don't protect that relationship, then you run the risk of it dissolving, which is going to impact everybody else that you're trying to give attention to. And I was like, oh, that's so true.
Yeah, it really is true with Aaliyah moving out with her and her boyfriend, who literally is 2 minutes away. So we do see them often, and we have her dog when they work. But it's been a little bit different because Izzy, her room's upstairs. So when her friends come over, they just hang out upstairs, or she's at her friend's. So it's often enough when I'm home and not traveling, it's Mike and I. So I feel like you really, truly have to take the time out to continue to date, to build that relationship. And like that's one of the reasons we were talking about, okay, we're going to clean the house so that we have the weekend, because we obviously know we're going to go to the gym and maybe go to a movie. I wanted to go back to Pumpkin Patch, but it's going to be pouring down rain, I heard, for the next 9 days.
Oh, I'm glad, because it's so smoky.
So done with
It
the
is
smoke.
really smoky.
Yeah. But that's shit weather for the pumpkin patch, for sure.
Oh, I'm not going. We're not going. What I was going to say was, and it's really, really important. One of the things that I think, especially for a man, when they have children, especially daughters and sons, that how they treat their spouse is how their son or daughter is going to treat their spouse in the future and whatnot. And one thing that we've taught our girls is, and I'm like this because I work in a man's world. Like if you're in my space, you're in my bubble. You're like in my personal space, and so I'll step back, right? Because some people don't realize that they're doing that. I used to be able to use COVID as an excuse, but one of the things.
Where's my yardstick?
Yes.
I have no problem telling people to get out of my bubble.
Yeah. Well, that's something we have tried to teach our children, our girls. You know, if you are not feeling comfortable, or if someone's trying to touch your shoulder, whatever, whatever it may be, hug you,
Right.
it is okay to say, I'm not comfortable with that.
Not even just that. I prefer you ask before you touch me.
Yes.
Why is that such a novel idea? I can't tell you how many people I had to pull into HR. Not me, but the manager pulls them into HR. And I go, listen, when we're at work, we don't touch people. Okay. I understand it's healthcare and it's hard because, yes, you're helping take care of the patients, but you're doing that in a professional manner, right? You don't just go up to your coworkers and wrap your arms around their stomach, right? Or hug them, or like there's this line, right?
Right.
Like,
That's definitely crossed.
my favorite is throwing ice down someone's pants, right? Like let's all be professional.
Let's be a little bit mature.
Not throw ice down people's pants,
Yeah.
please. And but those are real things, and I think I agree with you. Teaching Ellie the proper names for anatomy, which was hilarious when she was 8 because she had no problem saying anatomically correct words. And it made people really uncomfortable. But as she's gotten older, like the one thing I wanted for her was to be able to say the words and not feel embarrassed about it should somebody touch her inappropriately, right? Because that's what we always worry about for our littles.
Yep.
And even, high schoolers and early college girls and really anybody. But, on top of that, it's teaching her confidence to say, like, I don't like people to touch me at work. Right. In a nice, kind, professional way, right? It's okay. Sometimes people get emotional in the workplace, and we understand that. However, we still need to ask permission to touch other people.
Yeah.
Like, and I apologize about my phone. My work is blowing up. Anyways.
You're on your lunch.
It's Friday, okay? We have this saying at my job that when the CEO sends out a weekly newsletter, like, the newsletter's out, we're all off.
Aw.
Sometimes it's like at 9 a.m. and sometimes it's like at 4, right? But we generally work past that. It's just a running joke with our team. But I think, too, the one thing, and Mikki, I'd love your opinion because I know we had a little conversation about giving you an opportunity to talk today.
Oh, it's fine.
I was just thinking that, too.
And I was like, wow, I've talked a lot.
It's okay.
I think one of the
I'm a
things
listener.
Even though you have Izzy at home still, and I still have Jaden and Jasmine every other week at home, one of the things I experienced as a mom was like that empty nesters, which I was like, oh, I'm gonna be so excited when my child leaves.
Oh, I think it'll be sad.
I'm gonna be excited, and I was so depressed. So
yeah.
I did have a series of things that happened all at once. Ellie had my friend tragically died in a car accident.
Oh,
Ellie then had a car accident 10 days later, and then moved out 20 days later. And then my granny passed away 2 months after that. And so, like, I had a lot of tragic things that happened, but that I didn't really, like, when Ellie moved out, I was like, oh, sweet. I get my own office now. This is going to be great. And I was just so lonely, and all I wanted to do was call her. And every time I called her, she was like, Mom, I already talked to you today. Why are you calling me?
Aww.
I just miss you.
Aww.
That's adorable.
Or to, like, lecture her about so finally I'd find, like, excuses to message her, like, hey, this came for you. Or, hey, we got some junk mail. Do you want it? Like,
do you want these coupons?
But it
That's
was really
adorable.
hard for me to process because I've never not. I mean, and now I'm Solomon's wife, and bless his heart, he lets me kind of run my life to be what I want it to be, and he kind of just is like, yeah, sure, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. I'm like, sweet, we're gonna go on this new adventure.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like this sense of I'm not anybody's anything anymore, right? Like I was.
Because you were mom for so long.
Well, I was someone's child, and then when I was a child, I had a child, so
Yeah.
then I was mom. So there was never that gap, and like I don't know if it like for me just hit me like that much harder, but like it was rough. It was really rough to not be somebody something. And that's in my head what I told myself. I'm no longer somebody something.
Aw.
And so it's like I've had to take this time over the last year to be like, who am I? What do I want to do with my life? What do I enjoy? Like, what are things that I've stopped doing that I used to enjoy doing? Things like that. I'm still trying to like work through that to like figure out what I like. Primarily, it's the gym right now. I'm taking the dogs on walks. That's fun.
Hiking. You like to hike?
I do like to hike. I grew up hiking.
Which we should do that again.
Yeah, I
Never
do.
done
I
that.
do like to hike because I grew up hiking with my parents. But I think that's too something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Is you get taught. I think more and more in society we're talking about like postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Like now your life has changed and you're a mom, and you have all these hormones and emotions running through you, and that's hard on its own, let alone now you're trying to cope with your role, your life's role changing. And then, but we really don't talk about being an empty nester as much. I think people phrase it to be like this real fun time in your life. Your kids are gone. You've succeeded.
Yeah.
Like they've moved on. Look, they're successful. And you're just like, I want to go back to when they were 5. Can we start over?
So I think it's really hard for a lot of people, but I think that as the days and the weeks and everything goes by, it gets a little bit easier. Aaliyah texts me like 500 times a day. She literally will say, Mom, you're my best friend. It's cute. And, but then I like being able to just, hey, we don't have to worry about the kids. I mean, Izzy, we do, but she can take care of herself too. Let's go to the movies. Let's do a drive to the coast. I don't, for Mike and I, we love our daughters our entire life. So we had our 5 years together. Okay. Built our foundation. And then we had Aaliyah. And then 4 years later, we had Izzy. Our entire life revolved around them every day, every second. So even though we really don't have room to breathe just because our life is still, we're always doing something or going somewhere because we got invited somewhere. I feel like we're just always on the go, but it's a little bit of, it's rewarding to know that our daughter, like Aaliyah, is out on her own. I mean, of course I don't want her being out late at night because stuff like that worries me.
Drinking and driving, parties, things like that. Always stresses me
She
out.
actually, luckily, doesn't do that. She actually has a really good job right now, and I have a feeling that they're trying to mold her into, they're like grooming her to take up the next step. And, but in high school, that's a different story.
Yeah, I think all the kids go through their own, I mean, we all did. I don't know about you guys. I went through my own life path.
Yeah.
Right? And
Everyone has a journey.
Mine included a kid, but before I had Ellie, I had a lot of fun.
She gonna go back to partying?
I had a brief moment. My mom, bless her heart, she's like the most patient human in this entire world. And my dad's great too. And my dad does the best thing ever. He always offers free advice. and it's usually very helpful and right on the head. And you're like, yeah. And just like my kid and our kids ignore your advice sometimes. Sometimes I ignore it. And he's usually right. But my mom, when I turned, because I had Ellie when I was 16, almost 17. So I turned 21 after she was born. And I was just like, Mom, every weekend, Mom, can you watch Ellie? Mom, can you watch Ellie? Mom, can you watch Ellie? And then I got to this point where I hit 22 and I told my mom and I told me, I was like, you only get every holiday when you're 21 one time. Okay. That's all I'm asking is all the major holidays and the weekends I want to go out. I just want to do that for my 21st year. And then I will slow down and refocus. And she rolled her eyes at me and never agreed, but she would watch Ellie quite a bit for me. And I did. I hit 22 and I was like, this is not the life I want to live. 1, I don't want to be hungover every Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
2, the people I'm hanging out with are starting to become not the right kind of people that are going to help me move forward in life. They're holding me back. And then, 3, I have a kid. Like, can't be throwing ragers at my house. And there were times I had ragers at my little tiny apartment.
Nice.
And it was fun, but it was hard. But yeah, the kids, they grow and they become who they are, and some of the things we agree with, some of the things we don't. But I don't know. I think losing Ellie and having her move out, right? I say losing her, which is just around the corner, was really hard. I think that was the hardest thing I've gone through this, other than losing my granny, right, is having her move out.
Yeah.
But I think it's just part of life's journey. And I do agree. Like I get to go and do things I don't have to worry about telling somebody else that I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But,
or having to worry about like, okay, what does Mike have going on at this time?
Sports,
And I have this
school, are your grades up? All those things are gone. But so I have to find something else to manage.
Well, and like, I love the part of that I'm really glad that I joined the gym and I've stuck to it. So, end of 2020 when I couldn't breathe, when I had walked up those stairs and I realized that I needed to do something about it. I had told myself I was going to do this whole Operation Healthy, financially, physically, mentally. I'm not going to allow toxic people take up my energy because I have other things like my children and my family and my work to take that. And I don't do drama well. So I literally just was like, Operation Healthy all the way around. Just level up, right? Be the better person of me that I can be. And the gym has really obviously helped that. And I really hope anyone that is listening and you don't have to join the gym, but 30 minutes, go walk around the block, go take a hike. Try to do that 2 times a week and make yourself feel better. I feel like with the gym and all mainly the ladies that I've gone to know, like you've actually been a friend of Katie's for years, which I knew that. Katie's and her and I were really good friends and we worked together. So it's really funny that
it's a small world.
It really, really is.
I'd just like to know all the famous people I know.
Yeah.
Indirectly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go.
I'm one.
There we go.
Can we have your autograph?
Of course.
But if you take time to work on yourself, then you have more energy and time to focus on everything else that matters to you in life. And I don't know if some people actually like stop and think about that. I didn't before. I just thought I had time and whatnot. And ever since I've made, honestly, going to the gym like a priority. And I've never gone to the gym 5 to 6 times a week like I do now. And I've never let anyone yell at me like my trainer does, but I love her.
You know what some of my favorite things when Ellie was training with Molly was?
What?
Molly would send me videos of her crying while she was running, which first off, it's not like it's funny. It was kind of funny. Because, when you're crying, there's lots of water going on, not just your eyes, right?
Yes.
My knees hurt. And Molly's like, stop whining. Your knees don't hurt. You're just tired.
Yeah. Molly does that to me. And then there's been, I think, 2 times where I'll be like, there's makeup in my eye. I need to go to the bathroom. But no, she is the only, I've had, there's been other coaches like Ryan's helped me. I work out with Mike now on weekends. Before I felt more, I think, intimidated because I'm like, he can lift like 400, 500 pounds. And at that time, before I started working out, it's like 5 pounds for me, so why I can't keep up. Now I feel like I can keep up. And it's actually really fun to go to the gym with him, although sometimes he pushes me way more than what Molly does. But that gym has all around made me feel better. I feel like I look better. I'm healthier. And I think that when you have your gym family who's out there supporting and helping, like it just boosts you up even more, to do better, want more.
Well, I think too, like, I don't know about you guys. Every now and then when you go to the gym and something really bad's happened, right? And you're like, nope, I still got to go to the gym because it's kind of crazy I am. Go in. I don't care if I've been crying all day long and I look like shit.
I think a lot of the females do that at the gym.
And you always run into that one person who you're like, you're the exact person I needed to talk to today, and I'm going to sob while we're talking for 30 minutes right by the front door. Makes everyone really uncomfortable when they walk in.
I know. I'm always crying.
Right? Me too. Mikki, we've had this conversation before where we're criers.
Poor Devin.
And
I can't relate. I don't cry ever.
I cry and I'll run into people who I'm like thinking about, and then I'm like having a bad day, and then you see them and you're like, this was meant to be. I need to talk to you for like 35, 45 minutes. I'm going to cry profusely through the whole entire thing. And then I'm going to feel better. And I'm going to thank you in advance for your time. You didn't know that this was happening to you today, but it is. And there's been a few people. And the one thing I have to say, everyone is so great about it. Mm-hmm. I've never had somebody be like, listen, I can't handle your baggage today. Mm-hmm. Like everyone just stops and they listen, and they don't necessarily carry it for you. Mm-hmm. they just, wow, that's really hard.
And
so
they
sorry.
listen.
Yes, that sounds really hard. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. And so, like, half the time, I don't need you to fix my problems.
Right. You
My
just
problems
need
are
to
my problems.
tell somebody
I need
about
to
it.
tell
listen.
somebody, and I need validation that it's normal to feel this way. I think too, I've always been very emotional, and I think women get labeled as overly emotional.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
I used to, not so much anymore. I don't care. I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I never feel that way when I'm talking to like
Anyone over there.
anyone at the gym. Like, I'm going to cry. It's going to look ugly. There may be lots of waterworks going on, but you know what? I'm feeling these feelings, and I just need to be validated that they're real. And sometimes the people in the gym are the best people to have that. And, you know,
We have a really, really good family there. Like, I actually feel the same about like Molly. Like, Molly and I have gone to be really close. You know, I consider her one of my good friends. And
I had a breakdown to Molly. Molly doesn't do crying, for those of you who don't
oh
know.
no, trust me, I know. But I don't
one
cry.
time Molly walked in the gym, and I was like, oh, today, that's you. You're the person today. I saw her. She saw me. We made eye contact. I got up.
Molly's like, oh, fuck.
I started sobbing immediately. No words were involved. And I just ran over and gave her a giant hug. And she hugged me and said, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. And Molly, you know, doesn't do crying, doesn't do that stuff.
But she cares.
She cares enough to be like, I don't know entirely what you're going through. But obviously you needed this, so it's going to be okay. Yeah. Rub your back a little bit. Yeah. Like, okay, it's good. She's like, okay, now go work out. And that was it. It was like a 2-minute thing. And you're going to be okay, now go.
Yeah.
And I did. And I felt immensely better.
Good.
You know, I think that's part of being human. That's the one thing for me, at least. I've always, my entire life was told, you're being overly emotional. You need to calm down. You need to like.
Oh, being told to calm down, like
just.
I can't stand that.
I
That's
am
kind of annoying.
calm. Yeah.
You haven't seen crazy,
right?
yet.
Like you don't know.
I was having this very conversation the other day. Like, listen, I saw a thing on Scorpios that like don't cross me. And, like I said, I'm not like all up in the astrology stuff, but there are certain things, and that is when I get to that point. There's 2 directions: beyond crazy or calming down. If you tell me to calm down, and at that point,
it's
like a very critical, it's going to crazy.
Yeah.
It's going beyond the crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that is honestly a reaction of society telling us to calm down and invalidating
all the fucking time.
And I'm constantly
invalidating
being
your
told
feelings.
that what I'm feeling is not real.
Yeah,
Constantly, like shoulder pain. I went to a doctor one time and I was like, listen, I'm having this crunching and it's painful. It's really swollen. This is like how my knees got as bad as they were at 32 years old. Right. And, I was like, listen, my knees hurt. They're crunching. I look, they're so swollen. He's like, yeah, you've got swelling. But there's really nothing wrong with you.
So he was just making it like
like, my knee is this big and there's nothing wrong with me. Okay, got it. Yeah, maybe you should just like, what do you do for exercise? I said, well, at the time I was going to a gym in Portland. It's like, I do boxing, I do kickboxing, I'm doing weightlifting, I'm doing these classes, I'm doing elliptical, which I hate ellipticals, but at the time that's what I was doing. Mm-hmm. He's like, maybe you should just like not lift weights and like don't do squats. Like those are going to be bad for your knees. Oh, and then I was like, well, we do like box jumps and stuff like that in our class. And he's like, don't do box jumps. Those aren't good for your knees. Okay, this is an orthopedic doctor telling me not to do these things that in the long run, had I kept doing them with the right way, the problem was I was doing them the wrong way. So had I started doing them the right way, along with additional weight loss, it would have been fine. And actually my muscles and joints and everything would have been so much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aww.
But, you know, I wasn't feeling what I was feeling.
Yeah, it wasn't real.
Yeah. I've noticed now, I don't know if you guys have gone to the doctor lately, but for whatever reason, I have to go to the doctor a lot. So I went to go get my shoulder checked just to make sure nothing was going on with it. And I was like, listen, I have all this pain. And I was like, look, you can feel like the muscles catching. It's swollen. I can't straighten my elbow. Like there's something's going on. Mm-hmm. And he's like, your pain is valid. I believe that you're experiencing this pain.
Was it like patronizing though?
No, it was like he was genuinely trying to say like,
good.
There's nothing I can do for you.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's wrong with you from an orthopedic perspective. but I believe you in that your pain is real. I can
Yeah.
see that you can't straighten your arm.
Yeah.
So I don't know if doctors are trying to like more and more validate your feelings so that you don't
Maybe.
sue them. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
what is the intent here?
Well, so two things of some of the things that you've spoken of. I went to a doctor because, I have really bad allergies. So I have to have prescribed Allegra D. It's the only thing allergy. And I have it 24/7. It's like freaking in our genes. Thanks, Dad. So I have it all the time. And I need those pills. And it expired. So my pharmacy wouldn't give it to me. So I had to go in because they're like, we haven't seen you for a while. You need to come in. First thing doctor says to me, we haven't seen you for like 4 years. I haven't been sick. Why do I need to come miss work,
Right.
waste my time
Wait
and
in your
my
lobby for 10
money
minutes.
to come see you? I said, I haven't been sick. What do I need to come see you for? And then she started having conversations about like, I don't know, just like why I need to come. And I'm just like, you know what? You're never going to see me again. I didn't say that. It was
Yeah.
in my
Like,
head. Can I just get my prescription? Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
I know. I rarely go to the doctor because I don't need to, right? Recently I did, and because I got on antidepressants in the last couple months. So going and seeing my doctor, and he's like, and I switched doctors because I took Solomon in because he had poison oak, I really loved him. I'm more like a holistic healthcare kind of person, right? Not.
Yeah.
This doctor let Solomon throw up on his shoes. And he was so patient and amazing. I was like, I want you to be the doctor for my whole family. But anyway, I had to go in and I'm talking to him and he's like, so we haven't seen you for, he's like, and you had like X, Y, and Z going on. He's like, but that was a long time ago. And I was like, I don't need to go to the doctor, right? Like, I'm not sick. There's nothing. And he's like, that's good. You don't need to come in. And to like hear that from a doctor, that reminded me of like early 1900s, right?
Yeah.
When they're like,
Do you do house calls too?
Yeah.
I know. I was like,
seriously.
to hear that, I was like, this is so refreshing, right? Because that's not the thing. Like they want you to bring your kids in for all their health
I don't
checkups.
do that.
My kids,
My
I know,
kids are healthy.
yeah, my kids don't go in for their 1 year, 6 month, whatever, right? They hardly ever go in unless they're having like a severe poison oak allergic reaction.
Oh, I've had
Right?
I've had a doctor say something to me because I don't. We used to get flu shots for our kids and myself. And then there was one time where all of us got sick because that happens, right? After the flu shots. But then I was like, because I'm more like, let's just try to be natural and whatnot. And I think it had been a couple years and I think it was Izzy in. And they were like, well, you haven't gotten her flu shots. And I'm like, no. She's my freaking kid. I will do whatever I think is, the best and safest. But I just felt like I don't. That's why I don't like going to doctors because there's some doctors out there, not all, because I know that there's some amazing doctors out there that, like, I get a checkup here and there, but if I don't feel like I have anything that I need to go in for, why do I need to go in?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to say was, ever since I've been a little girl, I've had many people in my life tell me, you're bossy. You're bossy. Well, me being bossy, I feel like...
Same as a man speaking their mind.
Well, I feel like, because I have, no filter. I just say whatever.
Who cares? Why should we have to have a filter?
Exactly. Well, in my opinion, me being bossy has put me where I am in my career. And like I said, the company that I work for, like, there's been other times where the people that I did work with that probably can't stand my energy and the way I am, which is fine because I'm not for everyone, but I also don't care. But it is what the best part of me where I thrive within my company by, again, I work in a man's world, no filter. I just say, I'm honest, I'm transparent, and I just say whatever. I am a little bit bossy at times, but I don't think females or anyone really should be just told that you're bossy. Maybe say in a different way, just depending on like what the situation is. But it's just something I've been told growing up.
I think one of the things I've learned working in human resources is not one. I've learned a lot in human resources. I've learned many things. The funnier side of human resources, people are really disgusting. Those things that they show you on TV where people get in trouble with HR, they happen in times 10, okay? Everything they're saying is real. But in reality, no, I agree with you. Like in HR, one of the things that we learn and we talk about is there's a difference between being bossy really shouldn't be a term that we use to describe women or men, really. It should be, are you a direct communicator? Are you an indirect communicator? What's your communication style? How do you like to present yourself and your work? And because people, 99.9% of the time, people come to work to do a good job. Okay? We can all say that. 99% of the time, people are coming in with the positive intent to do the best job that they can. Do they always do that? No. Do they make mistakes?
Yes, we're human.
Some of that is the conflicts that I see in workplace are just generally a difference of communication style. You go up to somebody and you say, listen, I need you to go do X, Y, and Z. And then the person you told is now crying in the bathroom because you're mean. Why am I mean? I just told you to do your job. Right? Unless you're going to, if we could all assume positive intent from the people who are communicating with us, why did they say it that way? What did they say? Why am I feeling negative about that interaction? And either realize that it's our own perception of their words that's creating that negative reaction, or that we truly need to have a follow-up conversation with that person about what they said. The world would literally be that much better of a place if we could resolve problems together and assume positive intent. But it doesn't happen. But yeah, I see all the time women who are strong and direct and who don't have a problem speaking their mind always get labeled as aggressive or bossy or the bitch or whatever people want to call them. And I think the thing that people are missing is, no, she's not any of those things. She's just not submissive to what you're asking for. She's not submissive to sit and listen to you. She's not done talking, so she's not going to stop talking because you start talking. I think those things in society is why am I bossy just because I speak my mind? I used to get so many people get frustrated with me because I speak my mind because I have lots of ideas at work. And so in the meetings, when my boss is like, hey, what do you guys think about this? I'm like, I love it. Here's some additional ideas. I think we should also do this. And I get really intense with it. And people sometimes struggle with the fact that I have no problem speaking up.
It could be their insecurities as well.
Yeah, or they don't like my ideas and they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Right.
Well, it could be all that, but I think that, what you just said too, not being outspoken.
Right.
Yeah. Insecure, I have some ideas, but I'm not comfortable saying them.
Right.
In front of a bunch of people on a Zoom call.
And I always try.
Or they're jealous that you have these ideas.
Exactly.
Right. So when I'm doing leader training and I'm the one training the leaders and I have the shy people, I try not to call on them, but I also try to say hey, your opinion matters here. And I really want to hear from you, because if we don't hear from you, you might have a really great idea that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And so I try to invite them in that way. I also recognize, as also being somebody who used to be very shy and timid in big meetings, I don't want to make people not want to come back.
Yeah.
Correct.
So there's a fine line in getting those people to talk. And some people, they don't formulate ideas as fast as I do, right? They may have an excellent idea. It's going to take them a day to think about it.
Yeah.
Just email me.
Right.
Call
and
me.
I always say, we have this, for the labor team, we do this saying at the end of our trainings, right? We go, critiques, criticisms, ideas, thoughts, feelings. What do you guys have? Share it with me. Because rather than saying, do you have any questions? They may not have questions. They may just have some thoughts, ideas. They're thinking through something. They need to digest it. And they just want to say it. Yeah. So say it. I always encourage people. And then the one other thing that I do in life, and I honestly learned this at work as well. 3 steps to determining if you need to say something, right? Because we all know we're in that moment of conflict, right? Where I, at least, am really good at hurting people's feelings. I know I am. I can say really mean things. And it's something I've had to work on really hard my entire life, is to not, it is. And sometimes it's hard because I know something about you that I could just say and it's going to kill
just
you.
Tear them down.
It's going to tear them down. And it never helps anything, right? It always just makes the matter worse. So I always ask myself, doesn't need to be said at all. Doesn't need to be said by me. Should I really be the one saying this? Doesn't need to be said by me right now. Is it going to help the situation right now if I say this?
I remember you telling me this the other day.
Yeah.
Or a couple weeks ago. Whenever
because
it was.
it's important because sometimes, like I said earlier, someone doesn't need me to solve their problems. I don't need to say anything. I just need to validate for them that what they're experiencing is real and what they're experiencing for them is valid, and just listen.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't need to say the mean thing to get your point across. Sometimes saying nothing
Is
just as painful as saying something mean.
Yeah. I've always said, and what I have said to our children is, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it, because you never know what people are going through in their life.
The classic Bambi quote.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's from. Yeah. My whole time I'm like, where's this?
You don't have nothing to say.
That's a cute movie.
Don't say nothing at all.
I feel like people are always super judgmental. I've been judged a ton, and then when people actually get to know me, they're like, oh, she's kind of cool.
I walk around looking angry and people think I'm mean.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just tired thinking or
I call it
zoning
RBF.
out.
No, I'm joking.
No, I just literally just and then people come over and they say hi, or those people who are confident enough to come over to me and to say hey, what's up? And
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh my God, hi, how are you? I can turn it back on. It's just sometimes I'm just like,
well, you have a really demanding job and you work with a lot of people. Speaking of, it's 11:40.
Okay.
Should we end this with a
Round it up.
Round it up. Sure.
Wind it up.
Go ahead, Mikki.
That's it, really, then.
For now.
That's my profound ending.
Yes.
We could do a part 2.